Tom Brady. Bill Belichick is coming for you. We saw you got your ring. We saw you win your trophy. So now we want what is ours back. We're coming to Tampa Bay, Tom, and we're going to take it from you. For 20 years, we did it with you, and from this day forward, we do it without you. New England Patriots football is back in the saddle. Do not bite the hand that feeds you, Tom, because it will slap you upside the head, and it will beat you down until you can take it no more. Tom Brady, I repeat, Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots are coming for you. Let's get into the show. What's up, Kurt? How's your week been?
It's been pretty good. We're into March Madness season now. It doesn't get much better than that.
No, March Madness is what it is all about. I mean, I gotta admit, I'm not a huge Madness guy, though.
Yeah, that is right. You did say that, but I gotta say, April is one of the most exciting times of the year for sports. Baseball's back. Playoff hockey, I guess this year, not quite a little farther down the line, but usually April's playoff hockey. Playoff implications in April this year. Same for basketball. You got the Masters. We got, like I said, March Madness. It's good to be a sports fan.
It is a great time of the year for sports, because then all the sports are kind of happening at the same time. We're talking about today. We're going to be talking about NFL free agency, which is big right now, and then you got the other sports happening. Like you said, the Masters. So it is definitely an exciting time to be a sports fan right now. So welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Taking All Bets. Today, as I said, we'll be covering a lot of NFL free agency and what's going on in the NFL, but we'll get into that later. I guess since we just talked about it, we might as well get into it. Kurt, what are you thinking for this year for the Madness?
Listen, before we get into that, I'm going to tell you my bracket is already busted.
Oh,
I just not actually, but that's just it. If you actually go into this thinking you're going to guess it right, it's not happening. But if you want, I can give a quick rundown here of what I've got, what I'm thinking for what's going to go on. I think this year too, I'm looking at the top teams. This is one year. I know every year you think the top teams are going to go all the way, but one seemed to just not get it done in March Madness. And that's probably one of the most exciting things. But this is a year where a team like Gonzaga just felt like they were so much better as the one seed. But I'll run it down here. We'll start in the West. I had Gonzaga meeting Oklahoma in the round of 32. Then we had Creighton over UCSB meeting Virginia. USC versus Kansas. VCU, Iowa. Then I had Gonzaga over Oklahoma. And then Virginia over Creighton. Then I had Kansas City over USC. Iowa over VCU. Gonzaga and Kansas meeting in the finals in the round of 8, and Gonzaga coming out of the West. In the East, I had in the round of 32, Michigan meeting LSU, Georgetown and Florida State, BYU and Texas, then Maryland and Alabama. I just felt too, before I get into the rest of that conference, felt like none of the upsets were there as much as usually. Like, that's what I was talking about. The top teams just felt like they were, I guess, more heavily favored than usual. But like I said, if you actually try and guess this, that's the best part.
Oh.
You won't. It goes all over the place, right? It'll happen in round one.
there's always an upset, and it just screws everybody up. Like a few years ago when the 16 seed beat the 1 seed. Um,
Was that it was Virginia who lost, and I think they won
I
the
think
next
so.
year.
Was that the year that Chicago, like I don't even know
Loyola
their name.
Chicago.
Yeah, like
Loyola Chicago. Yeah.
were they the ones that beat them?
Yeah. I think they were. I
Sister
can't
Jean,
recall.
is that her name? Is
Yeah,
Sister Jean?
it's
She's
Sister
back. I heard
Jean.
that. I
Yeah,
heard
I
she's
know.
back.
Yep, she's going.
She's about 209 years old, but she'll be there. So
She'll be
that's
there.
nice.
Yep. But anyways, to the round of 16 for the East, I had Florida State, sorry, and Michigan meeting. I had Florida State moving on, Texas and Maryland, which set up a Florida State versus Texas, and I had Florida State coming out of the East onto the South here. We had in the round of 32 Baylor and North Carolina meeting. Then we had Villanova and Purdue moving on. Then Texas Tech and Arkansas, Virginia Tech and Ohio State, which would set up in the round of 16 Baylor, Purdue, Texas Tech, Ohio. Round of 8 Baylor versus Texas Tech, with Baylor coming out of the South. And finally, here we got the Midwest. I actually, unfortunately, had to take Georgia Tech over Loyola Chicago in this one.
Mhm.
But I had Illinois in the round of 32 facing Georgia Tech, Oregon State versus Oklahoma State, San Diego State University moving on to play West Virginia, and Rutgers versus Houston. And then I had Illinois and Oklahoma State and West Virginia versus Houston in the round of 16, with Illinois and West Virginia moving on, and Illinois winning the Midwest.
Okay.
So that, I guess, that sets up the final four, which I had Gonzaga beating Florida State, Illinois beating Baylor, and Gonzaga beating Illinois for that to be the national champion.
So you have Gonzaga. You want to know who else has Gonzaga?
Let's hear it.
Floyd Mayweather has Gonzaga.
Does that
Floyd
mean I should
Mayweather has
change?
Gonzaga. I saw it on
Should
his.
I change mine? No, but all jokes aside, I feel like this, like I was saying before, I think this year you're going to see a lot of Gonzaga picks. They just looked at a different level the entire year, and I think they're going to be pretty heavily favored.
Yeah, like I've seen a lot of people who have released their brackets already, and they pick Gonzaga to win it. Again, most notably is Floyd. Do you ever go on Floyd's Instagram? It's like the funniest
no, I
thing.
don't.
He just like goes on. He's just like, check out these 16 cars that I got. They all cost $3 million. I pay cash for them, and you're like, oh wow, good job, Floyd. And then I think he also owns like strip clubs in Vegas, and he was like, come down to my strip club. Like, we're still operating. Like, just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Just love it. Yeah. So I mean, March Madness is just this huge deal every year, and I feel like every year it gets brought up about the idea of NCAA players getting paid, because obviously March Madness, it makes hundreds of millions of dollars every year, and so the debate always comes up whether they should be paid part of what they are making for the schools. Like, where do you fall in on that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. And yeah, it does end up being around this time because this tournament is so huge, right? But when I look at it, like, I don't know, like, they're not professional athletes, but that is $1 billion or like multi-million dollar company, right? So I don't know, like, there maybe, and I guess that would alleviate some of the issues of you hear about players making money in other ways, right? From however that may be off the field. But yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted on that. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough because both arguments that each sides have are both really valid. And the idea that the NCAA argues that, well, the players get a free education, which is true, and they are at the best universities in the world. And then the players and people who argue for them, their argument is that, well, we train just as much as professional athletes do. And, we're in the film room, we're in the the weight room, we're out on the court, or out on the field, doing practices. We're traveling around, doing all these sorts of events and going to the games and whatnot. That their argument is true, that you basically don't have time to do school because you are doing the work of a profession to the level of a professional athlete. And so I don't know what the answer is. And you're right. Like, there are a lot of stories of schools, either under the table or, they set a family member up with a job. And so they kind of pay they pay them while they're there. Like a good story is, I forget. I think it was a hockey player who played, I think in the QMJHL. That's how you say it. And basically, like, they gave the kid's dad a job as a scout, and the kid's dad was always at his kid's games anyways. So he was never actually out on the road scouting, but they were paying him to scout. So it's just like little things like that. They find loopholes and whatever. But yeah, I don't know what the answer is. My gut just tells me no, they don't get paid. That's just what my gut says.
I'm almost leaning that way as well, because when you look around at other, I guess we'll use Canada. I know you're gonna say we're not at the same standards and level as the American, just the way their college sports is set up. I get that, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know any other student athletes that train hard that get paid either, right? Or junior leagues, etc. around the world
exactly
for
right.
their sport. So I look around and maybe I feel like we're only saying that because it's such a big industry, and that shows. But also look at, like, the NBA and the NFL is full of your prospects. Like, they do such a good job of getting you like professional jobs as well, right? There's no better organization to go through if you want to be an NBA player or an NFL player. So I don't know. Like you said, I don't know if I have an answer to that. I agree. Both sides have valid arguments for that.
Yeah, and like you said, like, I mean, the NCAA, it's not just basketball, it's not just football, it's every sport. So, I mean, it I don't hear hockey players complaining about it, I guess, would be my point. You know what I mean? I don't hear the soccer team worrying about it. I just hear two sports that have this problem with it. And it's because they make the most money. That is granted. They make the most money for
I was
schools.
just about to say it's because they bring in the biggest profit, right? And it's not really comparable. Like, they're so much further ahead in that aspect than the other sports. But yeah.
So we were talking about how Floyd picked Gonzaga as well to win the national championship. There is some other big boxing news coming out, the last few days, and this is massive. If you're a boxing fan, this is the fight you've been waiting for the last 2.5, 3 years. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua have signed a 2-fight deal to battle it out to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world in boxing. Tyson Fury, he holds, I think, the WBI heavyweight championship. There's four major committees for boxing, and Tyson Fury is the champion of one of those. Anthony Joshua is the champion of 3 of those, which is how it normally works. If you're fighting the heavyweight champion, you don't regularly, I'm only fighting for this heavyweight championship, I'm going to fight for all of them. So they will fight to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Kurt, we were talking a little bit before the show. You're not a huge, I mean, you watch boxing, but you're not are you a UFC guy over boxing?
Yeah, I definitely watch a lot more UFC than I do boxing. I mean, I definitely respect boxing, and I would watch the big name fights. So I probably would end up watching those. But if you're asking me to give you an analysis of I'm probably not the guy you want to go to for that.
Now I'm a boxing guy. I prefer boxing over UFC, and it's so fucking crazy how people get between boxing and UFC. If you say you like boxing over UFC, you have all these meatheads from the UFC being like, "Oh, they don't use their knees and their feet," and you're like, "I know that, it's boxing." And then if somebody's like, "I like the UFC over boxing," boxing fans are like, you don't still understand the sweet science of boxing," and you're like, "Yeah, I get it. Like, to each his own. It's whatever." But I'm a boxing guy. I love it. And this is the matchup that I've been waiting for ever since the Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury fight, where in the first fight, it was a draw. It never should have been. I mean, I think Fury won. I think I had it like 8 rounds to 4 or something like that. I had Fury winning that. But, Fury found something in the last round of that fight where if you just took it to Deontay Wilder and you were the guy pressing forward and Deontay Wilder was the one having to fight off his back foot, he was no good at that. He was so used to being the guy that came at you, and he was the power guy, and he was trying to knock you out, that when you switched it on him, he had no answers for it. So then we saw that in the second fight where once Tyson Fury figured him out, he took it to him and he just dominated him in the second fight. And so I think Tyson Fury is the best boxer in the world. I have heard that he's might be back on the booze, and he's boozing it a little bit, which is obviously concerning if you know anything about Tyson Fury's past, where he was an alcoholic and a drug abuser and whatever, and that's what ultimately kind of derailed his career for a while. But now he's back on top. Hopefully he has it under control. Who knows? But Anthony Joshua lives and sleeps and breathes boxing, and he's he's a freak athlete. And so to see these two come in where Tyson Fury is just the natural boxer, he's technically sound, defensively, his footwork, everything about him is just impeccable, especially when a guy is 6'9". You don't usually see guys who are 6'9" who can move the way Tyson Fury does. And then you have Anthony Joshua, he's just a freak athlete. And so we'll see who comes out on top, but I am really, really excited for it. I don't know if there's a date set for the fights yet. But no matter what the date is, I'm going to be watching it for
I gotta ask then.
Sure.
I gotta ask, who do you got then?
Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
I got Tyson Fury. I got to look at his record. I think he's 30-0-1. I'll have to look at that again. The one draw against Wilder. And then Anthony Joshua lost to that fat fucking piece of shit, Andy. I don't even know his name, Andy Ruiz or something like that. But I think he got knocked out by him. But so yeah, I have Tyson Fury winning. I just think that his technique in boxing is everything. That was the thing when Joshua fought. I think it was Ruiz. I don't even know his name or whatever. When he fought him, he was the better boxer than Joshua. So that's what ultimately led to it. So I would take Fury in this fight. And so then they'll do a rematch, obviously a 2-fight deal. And I'll take Fury. But either way, I think it's going to be good. It will get eyeballs. So very, very exciting stuff.
All right. Well, looking forward to that then. Yeah.
So we'll move on. We're going to still get to free agency, NFL free agency. We just have a few more things to kind of wrap up. So Ralph Krueger died. No, he didn't. He got fired.
He's perfectly fine. I mean, not fine. He did get fired, but yeah, no longer coaching the Buffalo Sabres at the moment. I don't think this should come as any surprise to anyone. What are they losing? Currently losing 12 in a row.
Yeah,
or
if
lost
Ralph
12 in a
Krueger
row.
died, that would come as a surprise. But
Yeah.
him being
Oh
fired is
my
not.
gosh. Yeah. It's
Oh,
yeah.
geez.
Yeah. Not a
Woo!
surprise.
So yeah, Ralph Krueger got fired in
Jesus.
Buffalo.
Have
I
another.
saw I saw a stat on Buffalo. Now if this has changed, I don't know. But so they're paying 4 guys a combined salary of I think $35 million or $33 million. So they got Eichel at 10 million, they got Skinner at 9, they got Hall at 8, and they got Okposo at 6. Now again, if this has changed, don't get mad at me. They have a combined 4 goals. Combined
I
4
don't even know how to
goals.
react to that. Like, yeah, it's almost absurd. Like, that's unbelievable.
That's so bad. It's unbelievable. And then I saw another stat where, and again, this has probably changed. This has definitely changed. They've played games since. This year, this was like as of last week sometime, that this year they were 3-1 against the New Jersey Devils. Okay. Against everybody else in the division, they were 0-11-3.
That's wild.
That's so bad.
Like when you watch them play too, I don't know if I in my lifetime have seen a worse team. Like I'm thinking about all the bad, like Detroit
I'm thinking
was
like
bad
last year,
year.
Detroit.
Yeah,
and
those two teams. There's a competition there.
Yeah.
Like Buffalo is as bad. So I was just looking up some stats quickly, but you know how you ever see those tweets or Instagram posts? They do like an NHL Masters.
Right.
It's like Rasmus Dahlin's currently 27 under. He's plus minus.
Oh yes, I've seen that.
Negative 27.
Yeah.
Listen to these. Negative Dahlin is negative 27. Reinhardt negative 20. Olofsson negative 17. Taylor Hall negative 17. Eric Stahl negative 18. Wow, like Colin Miller negative 16. There's a couple guys in the running here. Dahlin seems to have a nice lead, but
dude, I mean, your Capitals embarrassed the Buffalo Sabres.
they just showed up for 2 hours and just left. It was like a practice for us, just firing the puck around.
Eric Stahl should get his jockstrap out of the stands. Like, oh my god! Like TJ Oshie just undressed him.
Did you see?
He undressed like 3 guys on the same play using the same move.
I just think that was horrific defense. TJ Oshie's got nice hands too, but
yeah. And then Ovechkin came down. He just like put it through Dahlin's legs, and he's just swiping. Like he has no idea where the puck went. It's actually embarrassing at this point to be a Buffalo Sabres fan. I swear to God, I keep getting these fucking these scam calls all day. I've gotten like 12 of them. I'm not even joking. And now I'm almost to the point where I pick up and I just like play along with it. And it's always like, this is a call from the Department of Justice regarding your SIN number. Ignoring this call would be a violation and something about not appearing. And I go along with that. I'm like, oh no, I don't want that to happen to me. Oh my God. Like there will be a day where it'll be like, press 1 to talk to, whatever, an agent. And I'll pick it up and I'll be like, hello? And they'll be like, yeah, you're this. I'm like, oh my God, please no. I will do that one day.
Wait, so this is kind of on a similar lines here, but so I made a big mistake the other day. Lawn care at Weed Man, they do your lawn.
Okay,
you guys have that up there, anyways?
No, we don't.
All right, well, they're called Weed Man. They do your lawn care service, and the guy comes to my door and he goes, hey, it's just a free quote. Can I do a quote for it? I made a big mistake. I was like, sure, man, you whatever you want. He goes, all right, well, can I just get your number so then we'll text you the quote, and then you can, if you don't want us, we'll leave you alone from there. I was like, all right, sounds good. So whatever, they do it. I get the text, and then you can reply. You can text stop. You don't want them to get the text anymore, so I do that. Well, the last week, I think I get 4 calls a day from them. So I don't know what went on there, but they did not tell the truth, and now they won't stop calling me.
Like, like your lid is just gonna come off just with steam. Just one day, you're just gonna snap on these weed guys.
Yeah, if they ever come back to my door, let me tell you.
Yeah. I saw this TikTok yesterday, and it was this guy, and it was like when religious people come to your house asking for you to join their church, and it was like the guy was doing sign language, and they were like, "Oh, you're deaf," and he like kept doing it, and they were like, "Okay, you have a nice day," and he was like, "You too," and he was like, "Damn it, shut the door." But anyways, back to sports. Again, Ralph Krueger not dead, just fired. I don't know if he'll ever get a job again because it's just horrendous in Buffalo.
It wasn't a good audition for future jobs, that's for sure.
Can I tell you why I said dead? Because the next thing on my list is about that. So got those a little mixed up in my brain. My brain was like, what?
Yeah.
So this is a tough one. Timur Faizutdinov. I don't know. Russian guy. Russian kid. I think he was like 19 years old. I think he was playing in the junior league for the KHL, like the MHL, I think.
Yeah, Dynamo Moscow. He was their captain, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so what happened was the other team was skating the puck up. They got to the red line, and they were just going to dump the puck in. And this kid was coming across the ice. Like, it was a normal play, a harmless play. And this kid was coming across the ice, and they don't wear shields or anything. And he took the puck, like a hard dump in, directly to the face. He immediately went down. The other team's bench was calling for the doctors. Like, they knew it was serious. Everyone on the ice knew it was serious. He went to the hospital, and it was kind of sad. Like, where he was at the hospital, they didn't have basically the equipment or the resources to fix what was wrong with him. It was a broken orbital bone, and like a lot of stuff was wrong, and they didn't have the resources to fix it. And they were worried that if they tried to transfer him, that he would die. So this was, this happened on one day. The story came out that he was in the hospital. I think it was like the next day, the kid unfortunately passed away. And so I want to bring up this idea that we were just talking about the NCAA and how they're not professionals. After seeing this, and it may be just in the moment where you're like, something's got to be done. I truly believe that if you are not a professional player, if you're playing in junior, anywhere around it should be anywhere around the world, but we'll talk about, in Canada. If you're in Canada and you're playing in the OHL or the WHL or the Q, you should have to wear a face shield. Because when you go to international hockey, if you're under 18, I think, you have to wear a cage. And so why in the OHL and the WHL and the Q are we allowing kids to play with a cage? They play with a cage up until then. They play with one in AAA. Like, I just think if you're not getting paid for it and you're not a grown man and getting paid to do what you do, you should have to wear a face shield. What do you think?
Yeah, no, first of all, it was an incredibly sad story. Obviously condolences, and that's just an incredibly unfortunate event, right? Like, it's tough because I get what you're saying, and the cage is a good idea, but when I watched it, I wasn't sure, did it hit him in the side? Because it hit him in the temple, right?
Was it broke his temple bone or whatever?
Was it the ear slot, like that section where there's an opening near the ear, or was it by the face?
I think it was in his face, and I kind of want to think it was up by his eye. I could see that way it would be your like orbital. It could break your temple bone. If that, I don't even know what the medical term is for it. But so you don't think?
No, it's not that I don't think. I think you can go down that route. It probably makes sense. And so, like you said, you don't get paid for it. You could probably go down that route, and it wouldn't change much, right? The problem is you also don't see that injury very often. Like in my years of watching hockey, I've never seen that happen.
You've never seen someone get hit in the face?
No, like to that extent, right? You take
Well, I guess not to that extent.
To that extent, like, but yeah, it almost looked like it went. That I thought it was like almost by the side or the earpiece was when I watched it.
Okay,
but I think I'm on the same page as you. I guess Cage, you definitely could go down that route for the sake of the kids, right? If they're not getting paid that kind of money, then it's not worth it.
Because let's be real. If you're in the OHL, like statistically, if you're in the OHL, you're probably not going to make it to the NHL. Like that's just a fact. That's just the statistical fact. And so I think until you are in the NHL and you're getting paid the minimum salary of, $700,000 a year, wear a cage, man. Just wear a cage because
those are very valid points.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sucks. It's really sad. Again, you never want to see it, especially at 19, like at any age, but at 19, that's definitely, that definitely sucks. And you don't want to see something like that happen, but, it is what it is. And, we'll see if leagues, start thinking about that, start, maybe making changes. Who knows? I kind of doubt it, but, I think they should. I guess we'll move on to the main part of the show. We'll get into NFL free agency is here. It's here.
What a hectic week it's been already. What is it? 4 days into it, like for the NFL free agency.
My head is spinning. Every 20 minutes, I'm getting a notification on my Twitter. This guy signed here. This guy signed here. This guy got released. This guy got traded. It is just absolute madness.
I got to give credit to the NFL too. They never fail to be in the news. There's always something. I thought, I guess before free agency, we were going to struggle to find stories, NFL stories. You never struggle to find NFL stories. There's always something.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why they're just like the king of sports, right?
It really is.
They're always in the news. It's obviously super popular. Again, that's why it's always in the news, is people are always looking for stories. But there was it's not a pretty big story. It's a huge story happening right now. Deshaun Watson. This man has been up to some not so good things, I guess is the best way to put it. There's some allegations coming against Deshaun Watson right now as far as sexual, assault, is what he's being sued for. Basically by masseuses, massage therapists that he has supposedly forced some acts upon them. Some people will call it a happy ending upon them. And so there's a suit happening right now. It's right now 3 women have come out against him for these actions. And the lawyer for one of them says that there are 9 that have now come forward and will, I guess, be part of the suit. I'm not sure, but so not a great story from Deshaun Watson. Where do you think, as far as football goes, where do you think this goes, Kurt? Is he going to be a Texan or?
See, this is one of those things too. I don't want to get too into opinions on the situation without information. You know what I mean? I don't want to call anyone a liar. I don't want to call him a bad person. Yeah, I don't want to say anything until we see what actually or hear more about it.
No,
but
I agree with you.
I think this situation should be taken very seriously by both the NFL and Houston. As for football, I don't think he'll be a Texan. I don't think he'll play another game for them because he said he made it clear he wanted out. If I'm putting all this aside, just strictly talking about football, I think they have to move on. They just have to realize he's not happy there. It's better just get this the picks and move on.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be more drama heading into next year. That story is just going to linger, right? Like,
Yeah, 100%.
He's unhappy, and there's no way like they are actually. What did we see? It was the Bears offer was the one we saw, right? It was
I think so.
3 firsts, 2 seconds and thirds, something like along those lines, right? It was a hefty offer. So I think someone's going to make a similar push, and eventually, I guess we'll have to wait to see now how this plays out too, because this will have a significant role. If he's, who knows, right? If he's able to play next year, then he's obviously probably a top 3 quarterback in the league, and he'll be playing for someone. But we have to see. We just have to see what goes on with this, because these are serious allegations.
You always question when allegations come up like this, like, will the team just release him? Because it could be a PR mess. And these aren't the first. Like we saw it in Toronto with Roberto Osuna. Now that was domestic abuse, but they cut ties with him. They sent him to Houston, sent him to the Astros. But yeah, so I don't know where this leaves Deshaun Watson. I don't know where this leaves the Texans in general. I mean, the Texans are already just a terrible team. But we'll see. I mean, if it's up to 9 now it starts stacking up against them. Like, that's just when it's 1 or 2, you could be like, who knows? Like, you never know. Like, if he might have done it, he might have not done it. But when it gets up to 9, you're almost like
9. Yeah, you start asking a lot of questions, because that's well, it is, the lawyer said 9, right? But we only we've heard 3, but still, even 1 is serious. So for it to be up to 3 now is very serious allegations, and well, hopefully it's not what it seems.
Well, you said
for
that
Deshaun's sake.
You said that some other NFL players were having some fun with it, I guess, which they probably shouldn't be, but they were.
So I think I want to say it was Yahoo. I read a story, and they said the one masseuse said in her part of the story I don't know if it was to the lawyer, to the media, but she said that other NFL players had been recommended, and they were told, we were told to reach out. We were recommended by Big D.
Jesus Christ.
But
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So we'll see where the story goes from here, I guess, because that's there's some pretty specific, I guess, information involved, right? So
yeah, if you could go read
you can go search it up,
read
and
the
articles.
Yeah, read the articles. TMZ, they dive in deep, that's for sure. No censor on them. Another quarterback, a big story the last week was Mr. Drew Brees announced his retirement from the NFL. Kurt, where do you? So I think we talked about it a little bit last time, but you had him in your top 10 quarterbacks all time.
Yeah, definitely my top 10. I just want to say too before we start this, I will, as a Bucs fan, I will not miss Drew Brees. And I like when I say though, I respect Drew Brees. He had an incredible career, and hopefully he enjoys retirement. But I will not miss having to play him every year, multiple times. So, but back to the top 10. He's probably in between, like somewhere in the 7 to 10 range.
Yeah.
Now, like I almost hold him back a little bit, because it almost felt like he was hanging on those last few years. Like maybe it's because once again, as a Bucs fan, I had the joy of being able to watch a 43-year-old Tom Brady play some of his best football he ever has in that final year, that final playoff push, right? I mean, you watched him for years. He didn't look like he's lost much, if anything, right? The arm's still there, the intelligence, the IQ, everything's still there. But Drew Brees could not throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field with accuracy like he could before. He was just running slants. He was giving it to Kamara. Just it wasn't the same Drew Brees that we had come to watch in awe and say, this guy is do you know what his passing yards are? It's something incredible.
For his career?
Yeah. Do you?
It's in the 70,000s. He's
Yeah.
second. I
It's
think he's
something.
second behind Tom.
I almost thought he was first, but anyways, yeah, I
I'll
know
look
he's
it up.
first and second for yards and TDs, but yeah, he wasn't the same guy that threw for 4,000, 5,000 yards yearly. But anyways, I hope he enjoys retirement and yeah, legendary career, the best Saint of all time, right? You probably agree on that.
Oh my God, not even close. Yeah.
And he changed that franchise. I think it was right after the hurricane, and I forget what the story is, but I think they went when they were viewing New Orleans and showing him around, and basically, so he was with, I don't know if it was the GM and the owner. They took a wrong turn,
Right.
so they went down a street that was just destroyed by this hurricane, and just it looked terrible. And that was actually the swaying moment that said, "Wow, like I can help this community. Like football would be really important to this community right now." Something along those
Yeah.
lines. So that's what got him to sign there.
Wow. That's a
And
great story. I mean, the great guy's a great guy.
yeah, he really is. So
He's
yeah,
first all time in passing yards.
is he? What's the total?
80,358.
Wow,
So he's got over 1,000 more than Tom Brady. He's got just under 9,000 more than Manning and Favre. Wow.
it's pretty
Okay.
incredible.
Yeah, I mean, he's an all-time quarterback. He first ballot Hall of Famer without a doubt.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, so good for Drew Brees. You know, he got out when he wanted to get out, and now Jameis Winston, your boy Jameis Winston,
Oh my
taking the
God.
reins again.
Hope maybe he could eat a few W's for the Saints.
Maybe.
No, just not
Um,
against us.
just not against you. Yeah, exactly. So we'll get into the actual free agency now. So it seemed to start obviously free agency's only been open 3 days, something like that.
Yeah, I think there's like what is the legal tampering
Yeah.
period? So like all
So
these deals you got to think are done, right? They're
there,
already
yeah.
done before free agency opens, but now they
Mhm.
all start getting finalized officially. But wow, it's difficult to keep up with the volume right now. There's deals
Right.
coming, like you said. I think every 20 minutes, I feel like I'm getting a notification on if it's Twitter or from the score, or whatever it is.
So it started off with, and we talked about it last week, the Dak contract. That's kind of what picked up a lot of this momentum of transactions that we've been seeing over the last week. And then it was the Trent Brown trade to the New England Patriots. I will get into the Patriots. Don't you worry. And then it was Leonard Williams being franchise tagged by the Giants. And then it was Chris Godwin franchise tagged by the Bucks, your boys. The Bears franchise tagged Allen Robinson. And then it was next big move was the Bucks were extending Levante David. Um, do you like that? You like the
Yeah,
extension?
no, I love that. I think probably him and Devin White have become maybe the best linebacker duo in football right now. And
Oh yeah.
if we want to run it back this year, you had to keep both. So yeah, I love that. I love this offseason, everything they've done. Jason Light's been at it again. So incredibly happy with how free agency has gone so far.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. I mean, David and White together, they're just deadly. They're just deadly. And then the next move was Emmanuel Sanders was released by the Saints. And then he was basically immediately signed to, where'd he go, Kurt? Do you remember?
Buffalo.
He
I
went
think
to
he
Buffalo.
signed.
That's
Yeah, he
correct.
signed in Buffalo. 1 year, 6 million or something. That's another one of those like cap casualties though from the Saints. They are in not good cap position to say the least.
No.
Actually, you know what though? Drew Brees kind of saved them retiring. As
Yeah.
bad as that sounds, like he did because that saved them like 24 million cap space or something. But
Yeah. So they'll
yeah,
be able to, use that. And
but I mean, they
um,
already had to release Marcus. I think it was Marcus Williams, Emmanuel Sanders, Quan Alexander. There was more too. That was
right.
just three of like the six guys, seven guys. So they're
And then,
they're not really in
go
a
ahead.
position to add much. So
No. Um, and then I think the first maybe official big move, I don't know the timing on it exactly, was Mark Ingram signing with the Texans. Mark Ingram, good running back. I mean, he just seems to kind of stick around, right? Like he's been around a while, right?
Yeah, he's got to be. Is he over? Is he 30-ish in that
I
30
think
range
he's.
yet?
I think he is. Yeah.
But he's still got some quality football. He looked like he looked a little more worn down last year. Didn't have the same jump as before, but we'll see if he can have a couple more seasons in him.
Right on. And then both our quarterbacks. Yours got extended. Mine got re-signed. So Cam Newton re-signed with the Patriots. I believe it's a $5 million guarantee, where he can make up to, I believe, 14 million. Some of
Yeah,
the
I think it
incentives
was
are
14.
pretty tough to get. But even at 5 million, like he didn't play good. And I said this last year, like, he didn't really help the situation, but to be fair, he didn't have much offensive help. So getting Cam Newton at $5 million when you know that potentially he could be, an elite quarterback, low risk, high reward type.
I'm really
type.
excited to see. I'm sure you'll get into this, but I'm incredibly excited to see that team as a whole too,
Mm-hmm.
just with all the new additions and finally getting those guys who opted out last year, giving Bill Belichick back an actual NFL roster.
Right.
Because you know, like that wasn't a Bill
That
Belichick
wasn't a
roster
good
last
team.
year.
No.
That was they just had to put together whatever they had left, really, right? So
Yeah.
this will be fun to see them with all the guys they want there on the field.
Yeah, and it wasn't a good team, and they still won 7 games. I think any other coach, that team wins like 3 games.
So now they can win 8.
Well, I think they'll win a little bit more than that, but and then as I said, Tom Brady, he got extended by the Buccaneers, so they're keeping the band together. Let me see. I'm just looking through here. Aaron Jones, re-signing with the Packers, re-signing with them. He's so good, man.
He is very good. Really good for that Matt LaFleur offense too.
Yeah, he's just a weapon. Like we were saying, like teams don't really pay for quarter or for running backs really anymore, because it hasn't worked out. But the guys who have gotten paid, guys like Aaron Jones, guys like it was Le'Veon Bell, where guys who Alvin Kamara, where they're guys who are not just running backs, but they're also threats in the passing game. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of the way the NFL is going as far as re-signing their running backs.
That's a good way to put it too, because you in today's NFL, I mean, unless you're Derrick Henry and can rush for 2,000, you have to be a dual threat running back to stay around at least.
All right, impromptu start, bench, cut. Okay. So you're gonna start one, you're gonna bench one, you're gonna cut one.
Okay, let's do it.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook.
Oh God.
Christian McCaffrey.
Start, bench, cut. I'm gonna start McCaffrey.
Yep. Okay.
I'm gonna
Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry. Like you gotta cut one.
I'm gonna bench Derrick Henry and cut Dalvin Cook. And here, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. So when you look at that, you gotta think it's almost like they're 3 totally different running backs, right? So Dalvin Cook's almost a combination of both. He's got some size, but he's got the explosiveness in the hands he can catch, but he doesn't catch as well as McCaffrey, and he doesn't run straight ahead as well as Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't I take McCaffrey to start? Because he's easily the best pass catching back, and he can run between the tackles incredibly well to start. I think he's the best out of the bunch. And then you go
I do too. I think he's
total opposite, right? You get total opposite, a guy who can just run over guys and get those yards when you need it in Derrick Henry, goal lines especially. So that was my thought process on that.
Cool. That was impromptu. We're gonna have to do that one day. Other sports, start, bench, cut, and we're just gonna
throw them out randomly.
Yeah, we're just gonna throw them out randomly. All right. So moving back to football, Shaq Barrett coming back for the Buccaneers.
That was huge.
That was huge. Yeah. I mean, he he was all over the field in the Super Bowl. He was getting after Mahomes constantly. He was a
Shout
real
out to
problem for them.
I gotta shout out Mike Greenberg too for the Bucks. He's takes care of the salary cap situation, helps kind of all the contract, that money getting moved around. That's Mike Greenberg right there. So shout out him for making this possible to keep the band together, give us a chance to run it back again.
Right on. And then a couple Patriots signings. Jonnu Smith, the tight end from the Tennessee Titans. He is coming to New England, which at the time, we'll get into another tight end that they signed. But to even have a competent NFL starting tight end for the Patriots is huge. I mean, you can't have Ryan Izzo starting every game. He's just not good enough. And then right after that, they signed Matthew Judon. I think that's how you say his name. He's an end from. Does he play linebacker technically?
I think so. I think it's linebacker from the Ravens, correct?
Yeah. So they signed him. So he's a linebacker, yeah, technically. But he's always up on the line, which is hilarious to me. That like these guys play linebacker, but they never actually are in the linebacker position. So it's just like, just call him an end. And then Joe Tunney, or Tooney. Fuck, I still don't know this guy's name. He was let. Whoa. The Patriots let him go to free agency, and then he signed with the Chiefs. There we go. So as we were talking kind of before the show, the Chiefs, they let a couple linemen go, but then they pick up Tooney. So what do you think?
I honestly, I feel like I should have seen that coming, because I was like, when they released both those guards, I was like, oh, like, are you serious right now? You guys were just talking about how you need to improve your O-line play after the Super Bowl, like when Tampa just was all over them. They got a ton of pressure on Mahomes, but then they signed Joe Tunney, and I was like, that shouldn't have surprised me. I feel like that made sense. They got obviously bringing a quality guard like that.
Yeah. I still don't understand why they released Mitchell Schwartz, because there was a game where they played the Rams and Mitchell Schwartz was giving Aaron Donald problems all day long. Like one-on-one. It wasn't like double teams. It was one-on-one. Aaron Donald was having difficulties with them. And then the Raiders signed Yannick. You try that name.
I think they pronounce it Ngakwe.
Ngakwe. Okay. So they got him from the Ravens as well. So the Ravens defense taking it on the chin right now. And so he went to the Raiders. Nelson Aguilar leaving the Raiders. He also going to the Patriots. Patriots receiving core was a big problem. So it's a good thing to see that they actually got, a wide receiver who can run quick outside of the numbers.
Yeah. That receiving core has been looking a lot better heading into the start of next year.
100%.
Offense actually as a whole, like there's all of a sudden there's a lot of weapons.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm gonna definitely get into that. The Buccaneers re-signed Gronk, so literally everybody is coming back.
Even Ryan Succo re-signed too. This is the first time we've had a consistent kicker in I can't even, at least the last 5 or 6 years, maybe more. Do you remember Roberto Aguayo?
No, but it sounds like a sick name.
Because we spent like a 2nd or 3rd round pick on a kicker. Did not pan out. So that was fun.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Shocker.
It went, yeah. Anyways, so finally that was huge. Don't think he missed a kick in the playoffs. Just bringing back a consistent kicker is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the Saints, obviously we were just talking about, they re-signed Jameis Winston, so he'll run things down there in New Orleans. Ryan Fitzpatrick going to Washington. Didn't this one kind of come out of nowhere?
I mean, maybe a little out of nowhere, but I like it. Like now you have Taylor Heineke, who's it, Kyle Allen, and him fighting for that number 1 spot. It's a good competition. You just got to hope that one of them comes out of it looking really good. I think Taylor Heineke had a great game actually in the wildcard game, so that'll be fun to see.
Yeah, he played really well. I hope, just for the story, I hope Alex Smith, finds a new landing spot, unless he already has. I mean, things are updating literally as we're talking. So
Yeah, it's crazy the speed at which this free agency is happening.
exactly. The Patriots pick up another tight end in Hunter Henry, who, in my opinion, I think in a lot of people's opinion, was the best tight end available. Would you agree? I mean, I guess Gronk, but Gronk really wasn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I think he was pretty adamant on staying with Brady and the Bucks. But yeah, I would agree that Hunter Henry, he's probably the best guy on the market. He's how old is he now? He's not that old at all. He had a
No.
good year. Yeah, I know he's had some injury problems, but when he's on the field, he's one of the better tight ends in the league.
Yeah, Hunter Henry is let's see here, 26. So, yeah, not old at all.
Yeah, a lot of good football left.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do we got? Shaquille Griffin going from the Seahawks to the Jaguars. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah,
Good
I'm just
luck.
I'm looking at this list of all of these. Like, there's so many signings. A couple of like Corey Linsley to the Chargers, that was good. All pro center for the Packers. Well, it's like a Bud Dupree to the Titans. That's a nice one too. Jamal Williams staying in the division with the Lions. Like,
Hmm.
I'm just like, how many? There's an
There's just so
incredible
many.
amount of signings in such a short period of time. But
Yeah.
that's what I love about the NFL too. They always keep you busy.
Like if I was like, I don't know, Ian Rappaport or somebody, I'd be like, what is going on? Like my head would be spinning. I'd be getting texts all day. Um, like I don't even know. Like we might be halfway through the big signings. Um,
I don't even know if we are. That's what I'm like. Where do we go
yeah.
next? Like, there's just too many. John Johnson to Cleveland's another one. He had a great year for the Rams last year. What about Jalen
Um,
Mills to your Patriots too?
Jalen Mills. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy about that
What
one.
what do they call him? They call him the Green Goblin or something because of his hair. Or what do they call him? Because
That
his
is the
hair is
best
dyed
name.
green.
That is the
Yep.
best name.
They asked him if he was keeping it or if he was gonna change his hair color because obviously the Eagles are green. He's just keeping it green,
Love it. Love
even
it.
in
The
New
Green
England.
Goblin. That's
Yeah.
so funny.
I think
Uh,
that's what it is.
Andy Dalton, my boy, going to Chicago.
Uh,
Shite down. Going up there.
you gotta feel for the Bears fans.
Yeah. They're
They
like, oh,
thought
good.
they're like, oh, we're getting Deshaun Watson. Oh, we're getting Russell Wilson. Well, you got Andy Dalton.
Oh, sweet. Sweet. We got Andy fucking Dalton. That's so cool. Da Bears. Um, Texans signing Tyrod Taylor as the backup, obviously. Jacoby Brissett going down to Miami from Indiana. Let's see. What else do we got here? Jamal Williams going to the Lions. Why the hell would you want to go to the Lions? That is a dumpster fire right now.
Here's one for you. Kyle Juszczyk. I think that's how you pronounce it. The fullback in San Fran. He re-signed
Okay.
5 years, 27 million. How do you feel about that for a fullback?
My God. Like, I actually love fullbacks. I love the idea of a fullback. Like, I just think they are valuable. But what was the number again?
It was 5 for 27.
Oh my God. You're basically paying your fullback $6 million. That's to run like a play a game. Like you'd never see a team run I formation anymore. So like
Yeah. How many teams even use a fullback? There's got to be less than a handful. I think it's got to be 2 or 3.
I mean, I know like the Patriots use it a lot and the Ravens would use it, but I mean, most of the teams don't use it. So it's just well, since we're on to San Fran, Trent Williams re-signed there, starting left tackle. So didn't do a great
Big
job
money.
of protecting Garoppolo, but is what it is. You know what I mean?
6 years, 138 million.
Oh, that's a lot. That's so much money. It's so much money. Man, the Cardinals. They got AJ Green. What a receiving core that team has now.
I don't know. I don't know what the situation with Fitzgerald is though, because he's not signed either. There's talks about him retiring possibly. So
If I was him, I'd come back. I mean, you got DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, Kyler Murray, a quarterback. Oof.
Yeah, you gotta give it one more shot.
And the thing with Larry Fitzgerald was, for the longest time, he was the target. He was the main guy, and he should be. He's one of the greatest wide receivers of all time. But now that the other teams have to contend with Green, Hopkins, and Fitzgerald, he's going to have so many open looks because he's not going to go up against the best, maybe even the best two defensive backs that the other team would have. So he's going to get a lot of open looks. I would come back if I was him.
JJ Watt too now.
JJ Watt as well. But they did lose Patrick Peterson. What do you think of that? What do you think about him going to the Vikings?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a significant loss, but I don't think he's the same Patrick Peterson we saw from 4 years ago.
No,
Like he's lost a step, so they probably look to save a little money there, and you can probably replace him if you want to do that in the draft or see what else is available. Because I don't think it was worth them spending that money on him. He's not the same player he was.
Right. No, he definitely isn't. That's 100% right. Kyle Long, another offensive lineman, also going to the Kansas City Chiefs. Geez, there's just so many. Trubisky going to the Bills. All right. Going to be a backup, obviously. And then the last big one, unless something's happened while we were recording, Will Fuller is going to the Dolphins on a 1-year deal from the Texans. So the Texans definitely taking it on the chin right now with everything that's going on, everyone they're losing. So not a good situation down there in the Lone Star State. Do you want to dive into your Buccaneers? You want to, I mean, we've talked a little bit about them, but I feel like you should get a little chance to.
Yeah, I mean, I can describe it basically like it. When you look at that roster, look how it was constructed last year. The scariest thing to me is, I think I talked to this when on the earlier podcast, but that secondary was a bunch of first and second year players. So you managed to keep one of the best front sevens, which no one thought was possible, just with the salary cap going down at all. And now this secondary has another year of experience, winning the Super Bowl at that. I think this is a guaranteed top 3 defense next year. And it was huge. It was huge keeping this group together, and I'm expecting them to run it back again.
Okay, you're expecting the Bucks to win it all again.
We will be back again.
All right. I'm going to say that this year, ladies and gentlemen, the New England Patriots are going back to the Super Bowl. I'm calling it. They're going back. You're shaking your head. I don't care. They're going back. They are going back. You don't want to know why? Because they and Bill Belichick, I swear to God, he is like a savant. He's the greatest. I'm ready to run through a brick wall for Bill Belichick at this point. I mean, some of these names that he is bringing in, like we said, Jonnu Smith, Trent Brown. Trent Brown, I looked up, by the way. The man is 6'8", 380 pounds.
Yeah, he's a large.
It's a huge individual. Huge.
I think they're probably the most improved team so far this offseason, I think. But I don't even think they'll win the division, let alone. I think the Bills are still the best team in that division.
Sir, retract what you just said.
There's no way you are that confident in Cam Newton to win that division.
I am so confident in this team. So confident. Now that they have a receiving core, they have 2 tight ends who are very capable of what they do at the run block, at catching, at anything, blocking downfield. Oh my
Listen,
God, this team.
I will sit here and eat my words if I'm wrong, but there's no way that you are confident that Cam Newton will lead you to a division title with Josh Allen on the Bills, and their offense is just as good.
Maybe. The New England Patriots are going to win the AFC East, and
I can't wait to sit here when we're in week 8 and the Bills are 2-3 games up.
Okay, yeah.
Remember
I'll remember
this,
that.
okay?
I'll remember that.
I will. If I'm wrong, I will eat my words. I'll stick to that too, but I won't be wrong.
Jalen Mills is added to an already loaded secondary for the New England Patriots. I mean, you have the McCourty brothers. You have Stephon Gilmore. Yeah, I think Stephon, not Stefan. Stephon Gilmore. Patrick Chung retired like today, like the last like 3 hours. He was like, I'm done. So that sucks. But I mean, already loaded secondary. Like we said, they're bringing in Judon, another linebacker.
I think they signed Kyle Van Noy, a linebacker from Miami today too.
Kyle Van fucking Noy. This guy is back in Patriots blue and red and white, and I love it. I hated it when he left, and he comes back. He's already familiar with the system. He's grown while he was in Miami. This guy on third downs is a menace for offenses. This guy is going to be a difference maker for this team. Their linebacker core just got a whole lot better. You add that with how well actually Uche played. He was kind of a surprise. And then, oh, by the way, Dante Hightower coming back. He opted out. He's coming back. The linebackers, they're good. The secondary, they're good. And we didn't even talk about offense yet. Didn't even talk about Kendrick Bourne coming in. Little slot receiver. You know Bill Belichick loves his little slot receivers. Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Kendrick Bourne. Add him to the list. And then we got Nelson Aguilar. Like I said, this guy's got speed outside of the numbers like no one else. Subtract Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is faster than him, but that's fine. I will admit, he will drop some balls. Aguilar will drop some balls. But that's fine. We can deal with that. And then Hunter Henry, Judon, and
Johnny Smith.
Johnny Smith. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. You're welcome. We got them. Hunter Henry. I mean, come on, bro. This team is doing it. We did lose Adam Butler, Tooney, Marcus Cannon, who we traded, Patrick Chung, Ryan Izzo was traded to the Texans. But I mean, this team, man. I mean, I'm looking for Cam Newton. As long as Cam Newton can play average, if he can be an average quarterback, this team's good enough to win in the division and go to the Super Bowl.
I actually think the AFC East is going to be between those three: the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Bills. That's going to be very fun to watch. There'll be some good games next year for sure.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be good.
I think you have two playoff teams coming out of that division for sure.
Yes. So there will be two playoff teams, and when I say that they're going to win the division, it's going to be close, but they are going to win the division. That's but we'll have
to get more into the divisions as after the draft or something.
100%. Yeah, so I am just so excited about this team. Billy Big Bucks, as I'm calling him.
Like I said, I think they're probably, as we stand right now on Thursday, the most improved team through the first 3 days of free agency, without a doubt.
I agree. They've definitely won. They are the biggest winners from free agency.
Absolutely.
So do you want to now get into some winners and losers of free agency?
Yeah, sure.
All right, give me your winners and losers.
I'll give you a few of each. So we just talked about one, but definitely the Patriots. So I mean, if you spend the most money in free agency, you kind of have to be considered in this category. But it wasn't just spending money; it was quality money too. A lot of good players added. I really like what they did. I expect a lot more next year than the 7 wins. The next one is, ironically enough, both our teams are on here, but Tampa Bay. You were able to bring back the entire roster, pretty much entire defense or at least starters from offense and defense. And Yeah, I think they have a great chance to run it back. The Saints lost Brees. I think they're going to win that division. Seattle's got some issues out there. Does Russell Wilson even want to be there? I don't know.
Right.
They got the NFC least up there. Dak Street. That'll help, but I still don't think any of those teams are going to take out the Bucks. I think they got a really good chance. I'm looking at the Packers and the Bucks as the two best teams. Stafford and the Rams. That could be fun too. I think they're a team to
Yes.
watch. But hey, other than that,
100%.
the Bucks definitely bringing back everyone a winner. Cleveland, small move, but I think it's a huge addition to their secondary where they really needed help. John Johnson from the Rams, he was really good last year, and they needed some help in the secondary. They already got a really good front seven, so that's another team. I think they could win their division as well, and they won one playoff game last year. I'm looking for possibly another. They played a good game. It was that missed call against Kansas City. Remember?
Right.
That was a bad, tough call. It was a fourth quarter, I think, but that was a good game. So that could be a nice addition for them. They're another winner. And I'll give you a few more losers.
Okay.
Starting off, we're gonna go Chicago for sure. Thought they were getting Deshaun Watson. Thought they were getting Russell Wilson. You ended up with Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton.
I'm sorry, Bears fans, but next year's
not Bears.
Next year's not gonna be your year either. I'm looking at probably Houston. You lost JJ Watt. We don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson. We don't know off the field or on the field, really. He doesn't want to be there, and then now he has all these off-field issues. Who knows where his trade value is in 2 weeks when we reevaluate this? But yeah, they have not done anything in free agency to help the cause besides Mark Ingram, and they lost Will Fuller, so not looking good in Houston.
No.
Seattle is another one. They haven't shored up that offensive line. So many questions with Russell Wilson, and Chris Carson's a free agent too. Where do they go with that run game? So I have no idea what's going to happen there. So those are a few losers as well.
So I would say I agree with you on most teams. I would say that obviously the Patriots, the biggest winners, followed by the Bucks, just because I mean they won the Super Bowl and they were able to keep the team together. So they're winners. I would throw the Cardinals in there because they brought in AJ Green. Yeah, they lost Peterson, but it was just a couple weeks ago that they brought in JJ Watt. So I would put the Cardinals in there. As far as losers go, I mean, the Raiders. I think. Yeah, they brought in Njoku or whatever.
That's another good one to add to that list.
But I would say they released or traded most of their offensive line. And as we saw in the Super Bowl, how important your offensive line is. And if you don't know if you don't watch enough football, if you don't understand how important an offensive line is, and to release, I think they released 3 of them and traded another one. So I don't know. So I would put the Raiders as losers overall. And I would put the Bills. I mean, the Bills have as winners. Sorry, Bills are winners because they've added small pieces, but they've added more depth. So
yeah, that was another one. I had them on the fringe of my list as well. They re-signed a lot of key starters too that maybe not like are notable names, but were big pieces for them last year on offensive line, defensive line, linebackers. So yeah, you could put them in that category for sure. Trubisky too, if something happened to Josh Allen, at least your backup is capable now, right?
Right.
So
exactly.
that's I like what they've done.
So, God, we covered a lot today.
Yeah, we really did. I mean, such a busy past few days in the NFL. It was hard not to. There was I feel like we covered a lot, but there was still so much more we could have too.
Oh,
such a busy 72 hours in the NFL.
Exactly. So we'll finish off. We'll finish with our picks for the weekend. Kurt, what do you got?
All right. Well, we're going to start in hockey. On Saturday, I have the Caps red hot over the Rangers, who just came off a 9-0 drilling of the Philadelphia Flyers. That was insane.
That was an assault.
Yeah. But then, so that was my lone hockey pick, and then I had a few for March Madness. Just I had to take some March Madness games.
Yep.
March Madness has started. I had Texas Tech over Utah State on Saturday, Maryland over Connecticut, and Creighton over UC Santa Barbara, all on Saturday for those who are watching your March Madness.
Right on. Like I said at the beginning of the show, not a big madness guy, but that's all right. I understand it's a big thing. I'll let Kirk cover it. So I took all hockey this weekend. So I took the Canucks over the Canadiens on Saturday. I took the Jets over the Oilers on Saturday. Jets are rolling. I mean, they kind of embarrassed my Maple Leafs, but whatever. It is what it is. And then on Sunday, both teams coming off a back-to-back. I have the Lightning beating the Panthers. So that'll be a Sunday game. So, yeah. So there's our picks. That's our show. NFL free agency continues to develop, and we will be paying attention closely to that. Anything else, Kurt?
No, that was I think we covered a lot today.
Oh yeah, big show. Yeah, so if you haven't already, subscribe on YouTube, like it on YouTube, rate the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you listen to your show. Give a rate, give a subscribe, and we'll see you all next week. All right, bye.